welcome to my channel. My name's Ali and this here is Frigid. This here is Fidget. So in this video I'm going to be going through and talking about how much one of these little critters actually costs. Okay, so let's talk money and how much one of the actual chinchillas themselves actually costs. Now this is the price for the UK. In the US I think they're slightly more money and I'm not sure about the rest of the world. But in the UK, if you go to a breeder, the average price you'll pay for a chinchilla is between £80 and £150. And this is largely dependent on what kind of mutation you want and also the quality of the chinchilla. Now the only real exception to this is mutations like Black Pearl, Blue Diamond and Royal Persian Angoras. These go for significantly more money, and the reason for this is because of their scarceness and also because of the amount of money the breeder may have had to spend to actually import the chinchillas in the first place. So for example, with the Royal Persian Angoras, they can go from £300 right up to over £1,000 depending on the mutation and the quality of the chinchilla, so they can get very expensive. So for an average chinchilla, £80 to £150. Now if you were going to adopt a chinchilla, adoption fees start from around £60 to about £80. So yeah, if you want to get a rescue, £60 to £80. So next, the cages. Now there's a wide range of different cages available in the UK. And they can go from anywhere from £80 right through to over £400 or £500. It really depends on what you're after. Now in the UK, a lot of breeders actually recommend the Thickett's house cage as a suitable cage for a pet chinchilla. Now I like these cages for breeding. They are a very safe cage for breeding, but I'm not so keen on them for pet chinchillas. I like my pet chinchillas to have a lot more space, so I prefer the Critter Nation style cages. We don't really have Critter Nation cages in the UK unless we import them. But we have a lot that are fairly similar to that, so same size, similar designs. So you have things like the Cozy Pet cage, Pet Planet cage, or if you wanted to get a really big cage, you could go for something like the extra large Royal Savage cage. So a load of cages, really all different ranges of prices. So for this, I'm just going to average it out and say that an average cage costs between £200 and £300. So the next thing you want to spend out on is wood for your cage. So chinchillas really need lots of wooden ledges and a wooden hide for them to actually leap around on and to obviously sleep in. So what I tend to do is I buy 6 planks of kiln dried pine and I get it for about £30 and I make my own. However, you may not want to do that. You may want to get something that's custom made for your cage, and there are plenty of Etsy shops out there that will do this for you. And wooden ledges and hides can go from anywhere from £50 right up to about £100, £150 depending on how extravagant you want to be with them. But again, wood is a really important aspect of a chinchilla's cage, so it's something you do have to invest in. Next, water bottle and food dish. Now this costs about £15 in total. It's best to get a glass water bottle, and I actually have metal food dish. However, you could use ceramic. So the next thing I want to talk about is not a necessity. Despite what people may tell you, it's not actually a necessity, but it is a nice to have, and that is a chinchilla will. Now why do I say it's not a necessity? It's because there's plenty of pros for your chinchilla to have a will, but there's also a lot of cons to having a will for your chinchilla. And there has actually been studies done to say that maybe a chinchilla will isn't actually the best form of exercise for a chinchilla in the first place because of their locomotion. They move quite differently from a mouse, rats, and hamsters. They have a completely different set of locomotion. There is actually a really good paper written about this, and I will link it in the description below on the pros and cons to actually owning a will. So this is why I say it's not a necessity. Now some chinchillas absolutely love their will, so you're not a bad pet owner if you decide to give your chinchilla a will, but you're also not a bad owner if you decide that a chinchilla will is not for you, because you've assessed the risks, the pros and cons, and the general risks of owning a chinchilla will. So yeah, it's really up to the individual pet owner. So please, if you see a pet owner that has a fabulous cage but they don't have a will, please don't go for them, because it may be they've decided, they've done a bit of research into it and they don't actually want to risk having a will for their chinchilla. It doesn't make them a bad owner. So if you decide that a will is for you, then you need to get one that is quite large, so at least 15 inches in size, if not more, and it has to be made of either solid metal or wood. So no plastic, no wire wheels, and they have to be at least 15 inches or bigger. Now in the UK there's a company called Tic Tac wheels, and they do 16-inch metal wheels, and they cost around £57. They're quite pricey, but if you want to invest in them, some chinchillas absolutely love them. Toys. So for my chinchillas I spend about £100 a month on toys, and that's only because I have so many of them, but roughly I would say about £20 for toys. If you get wooden ones, they tend to last a little bit longer than say palm leaf ones. It can be as simple as willow sticks and apple sticks as chew toys. That can provide them with enrichment, and maybe a few blocks of wood, things like that. They're all good for your chinchilla. So the next thing you want to think about is food, and the food is an ongoing expense. So a kilo of a decent pellet will cost you anything from £3 to £5, and that will last you a few weeks. And then you have to have hay, so Timothy hay, good quality Timothy hay. You can either buy it in bulk or you can buy it in individual little packs, and that will last you a few weeks as well. And then you've got dust, that's an ongoing cost as well. You have to also have a dust bowl. So I use metal catering bowls, but you can use ceramic bowls, and you can even use plastic, because you're not going to be keeping it in your cage, so you just have to monitor them and make sure they don't actually chew it. So that's an ongoing cost. Do you need to get your chinchilla neutered and spayed? More often than not, no, because most of the time chinchillas will get on with same-sex pairs. So male chinchillas will get on together, female chinchillas will get on together. So there's no real need to have a male and female in the same cage, so therefore there's no need for neutering and spaying. In honest opinion, neutering and spaying is very, very risky for a chinchilla. Any operation for a chinchilla is incredibly risky, so it's far better to try and pair them with a same-sex animal rather than try and pair a male and a female together. And if you can't get two chinchillas of the same sex to get along, it's probably better to keep the chinchilla on their own rather than risk neutering and spaying, because chinchillas stress incredibly easy, so it's far better to actually keep them on their own rather than neuter and spay them. So last thing you've got to think about is really vet bills, and some people put a little bit away each month and some people decide to go for pet insurance. You need to have some money set aside as a safety net in case your chinchilla gets ill, because chinchillas can have health problems. So it's really important that you have a little stash of money saved away for vet bills. So I think that's everything that I can think of at the moment. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.